Hello, my strangelings. Before I continue on reading the Beckford case, let's do a little recap. Alright, so Vicky, the daughter, was playing with the Ouija board and started falling in love with the spirit, telling the spirit her daily life, all of her events, and it telling her stuff such as what was it like to be alive and how it would love to marry her and everything. And it also predicted her future when she asked about it. And then when she asked for it to reveal itself, it started out slowly by vandalizing her car, and then it worked its way up to her house, and then back to her car. So, let's continue. In the meantime, inexplicably, Vicky could no longer raise her invisible boyfriend on the Ouija board. Night after night, she tried to communicate, but the planchette would simply slide over to goodbye. She had no idea that her ethereal boo had actually manifested in the form of a supernatural vandal. By the second week of March, material damage to the house and cars had become so troublesome that Pete Beckford complained to the police. When the law arrived, Pete pointed out the destruction done to garden plants and shrubs and the exterior of the house, and the apparent intrusion into a locked garage to puncture tires and tear engines apart. Once he'd even heard someone pound on the house from outside. Before leaving, the policeman assured Pete, a respectable member of the community, that they'll keep an eye on the property during night patrols. Later, the second week, however, came the first indication that the damage had nothing to do with prankish neighborhood kids. After work, Pete and his wife, Sharon, were sitting in the kitchen questioning Eric about his friends, where these incidents of vandalism, the outgrowth of some sort of high school feud, suddenly all three heard something smash against the wall somewhere inside the house. Cautiously moving to investigate, they found a gaping 18-inch hole in the plasterboard wall in Eric's room. Just upsetting was the fact that the jagged edge of the plaster were pointing inward. The blow had been delivered from inside the house. For the Beckford, the strange vandalism suddenly took on an absorbing new dimension. That night, when they went to bed, the Beckfords could hear scratching inside the walls. It sounded like a squirrel had gotten into the house. Listening in the dark, Pete also heard the sound of a board being pried loose. Leaping out of bed, he switched on the light and spent the next half hour checking the house from cellar to attic. He found no loose boards. In fact, he found nothing out of place. Yet, the same weird troublesome noises continued all week long. In the meantime, Vicky's car had already suffered 3 flat tires, so Pete bought her a new set of radials on Tuesday, March 19th. In the locked garage, one of her new radial tires went flat. It seemed to have been slit with a knife. That third week of March, the phenomenon began to intensify. After nightfall, something began to pound on the Beckford house from outside. The hard kaboom type bolts came in series of three, hitting with so much force they shook the house. Naturally, Pete went out to investigate, but there was nothing to be seen. At least a dozen times that week, he and Eric went outside with flashlights, finally trying to find the source of the pounding. As the third week wore on, sharp, jarring raps were heard inside the house as well. This quickly upgraded in power until the sound was like that of a grown person beating on the walls. When the family went to bed, the random pounding and scratching continued. Around midnight, the house of boards began torn off. The walls could be heard throughout the small ranch house. Alright, that's it for tonight. So I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow night for more of this case.